and I'm currently studying at Raffles Design in Singapore.
Okay.
I'm doing my BA honors, and like the course ends in like 3-4 months. So we have this module called portfolio where we don't just have to make the website, but we have to connect with professionals and talk to them about how they manage to get in, because as you start off, it's pretty difficult. So to get a
Yeah.
good job, and especially like now since I'm in Singapore, uh, like I could get a job here, but if I want to go to the US, it's going to be a long procedure because of the visa and sponsorships and everything. So that's
Yep.
why I'm like trying to connect with people so I can get a better understanding of what not just not just the visa, but like what portfolio they look for, what kind of interview questions they ask, so I'm better prepared for the interview and everything. So yeah,
Okay. So you're looking for jobs specifically in the US or like anywhere
anywhere,
around the world?
anywhere. But I prefer US because my brother is there and I have a lot of family there, so it's better.
Okay. Yeah. And this is your bachelor's course,
Yeah, it's a
right?
BA honors.
Okay. And you did like high school in
Yeah,
India.
yeah. I did high school in India and I did my
Okay.
diploma course in India, and then I got transferred for the last year.
Cool. Yeah. So yeah, that's helpful. Hi, my name is Kaustubh, and as you know, I work as a user experience designer at Salesforce in San Francisco. I I did my bachelor's in electronics engineering
Oh,
um,
okay.
in India, and I did my master's in human computer interaction.
Okay.
Um, and I can go into the details. But then I started out as an intern at Salesforce
Okay.
in summer 2015, and after my internship, I continued working there part time till my masters got over, and then I joined full time, and now I'm here talking to you. So, how did I get this job? Um, where should I start? Uh, because I can like back up to my bachelor's there and tell you how exactly I got into the field.
That'll
Would
be
that
very
be
nice.
helpful?
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Okay. Okay. So when I was an undergrad, just like you, I chose electronics because I I took electronics as a vocational subject in my 12th,
Okay.
11th, and 12th grade, and so logically that was
Yeah,
the
the next step.
step, only to realize that the education in India is terrible and I don't really like electronics.
Yeah.
Uh, and I used to like things which are more visual. Like it all started with like some basic introduction to programming,
Okay.
and I quickly took up like writing code in HTML and CSS, and that like opened up the whole world of front end development. And it was so easy because you write a line of code and you see
Yeah.
the it visually like the outcome. And especially this is like talk to any electronics engineer and he would say the same thing. Like in electronics, we have to do all the logic work, and one small mistake, and you'd have to like rethink the entire logic to figure out where the problem exactly is. So it's not very visual. So it took me a while to understand. Hey, this is something I like, and if I like this, I should really consider this. Um, so in my second year of bachelor's, I started like making websites in exchange of something. So it would be like making websites for my professors or my friends, just for free, nothing like serious. Never, yeah. And it all started there. I like quickly learned design tools because it was fun, and that is the first time I like used Photoshop, Illustrator, and just like found quick tutorials online and kept practicing and eventually got better at it. Somehow, in that process, I used to volunteer a lot and I used to do all this part time extracurricular stuff. Um, so, yeah, jumping to my last year of bachelor's, I had my own uh, well, I don't know what to call it. It was like sort of startup, but
Okay.
hey, I was like too young for a startup thing, but it was legit.
But
So
everyone has
what
that
the
phase.
plan was, I saw that people around me who were complaining about the kind of education they were getting,
Yeah.
and I had a bunch of friends who were studying computer science and IT as their major. And they wouldn't know how to write a line of code. And I was like, come on, guys, you can't be
Yeah.
serious. Like, I just learned all of this myself. So I took it on myself. The plan was that we would teach like second year and third year engineering students how to like create websites.
Okay.
And that included like HTML, CSS, JavaScript training, and then super hands-on practical work on how to create an actual website. So not just theoretical, but actual implementation work, and also design tools like Photoshop, Illustrator, and so on. And whoever then we had like a batch of 10 people, and quickly in like 2 weeks people would figure out, hey, this is something I really like and this is what I want to do. Like some would like designing, some would like coding, and so on. So we used to then take projects, paid projects, and then have like teams work on those projects, and then we would deliver those websites to clients. So we did that for like a good amount of time. And I was also volunteering, so I became a lead organizer for Google developer groups in Mumbai. Uh, because I used to organize a lot of events, and eventually I became a lead organizer. And in 2013, they had an offsite where they invited all the lead organizers from different cities in Southeast Asia, and that happened in Sri Lanka. So I flew out to Sri Lanka, and we had a 2 day offsite where we were talking about like all things Google and how to run communities. And the cool thing was on the second day we had this uh, 2 hour, it was a 2 or 3 hour design sprint. And I don't know if you know anything about design sprint, but uh, uh, something you should take note of, and you should. There's a book called Design Sprint. If you are really interested in UX, you should definitely read that book. But yeah, at that time there was no book. It was a very new concept, and I was like one of the lucky ones who like got introduced to the methodology, and it was super fun. It's like there were like 50 people. More actually, there were 100 people. 100 people in a huge hall, and we had a design problem. The problem was Sri Lanka has a lot of dengue and malaria problems in the rural areas, and we had to use technology to solve those problems, and it was super fun. Like we did sketching, we came up with problem statements, we came up with solutions, and we went through that whole methodology, and I really enjoyed it. It was like the best time spent ever for me. And it was the same time when I got to like talk to interaction designers, which are similar to UX designers. If you're wondering about it, it's one and the same. Or product designers from Google. And I had like first one-on-one and with that guy, and he told me he did a master's in HCI, and I was like planning to do my master's because I wasn't really happy with my bachelor's education. So that really led me into choosing HCI as a specialized field in to do my master's in, and I knew that I had the skills because of all the previous work I had done. It was just like getting good education and really polishing my skills that would like help me get to a better place.
Did your master's in
Obviously,
US?
I didn't start thinking that I'll work for Salesforce. That was a huge thing, but those were like the beginnings of how and why I chose to do my master's in HCI. So if you don't know anything about HCI, read about it. UX is falls under this broad umbrella of the field called human computer interaction. And if down the road you want to do masters, or if you get an option to in your coursework you have something related to HCI, you should consider it. So yeah, after that I applied to a bunch of universities. I got to Indiana University in Bloomington. I chose that university primarily for two things. One, the cost of education was comparatively low, but at the same time, it was one of the most reputed courses, and they had like a very well laid out curriculum. The professors were industry experts and like top class industry researchers, and the people I spoke to at that who are currently studying at that program, like they just uh, from their point of view, it is like this is the best course ever, and we should not worry about like signing up for this. So me into choosing Indiana University. Yeah, so I came to the university. I spent 2 years. It was insanely difficult, but it was quite helpful because it like polished all those. It wasn't about tool training at that point. Because it's a master's course, right? It was more about polishing your design skills. It was more about understanding what design really means. It was about how can you solve any problem that's thrown at you in one day. Like, can you solve this huge problem in a single day? It was about how do you present your solution to different stakeholders. It was about how do you conduct research, what different methods for research there are, and also uh, design. Like it was about understanding design is doesn't always have to happen in high fidelity. Sometimes even a sketch can solve a lot of problems. So it is about understanding when to use what tool as a designer. So yeah, it was difficult, but super fun at the same time. Um, the good thing about my university, and one of the primary reasons I chose it, was we have a yearly uh, kind of what do you call it? Company fair where it's called HCID Connect. They have a website. You can check it out. So yeah, what happens there? It happens in February every year. Employers from all over the US, companies like Salesforce, Microsoft, eBay, um, GE, IBM. There's just so many. We have like 20 to 30 different employers sign up, and we do a design challenge, a 1 hour design challenge, where they give us a problem, uh, and we are all in a room again, but in smaller rooms, in smaller groups, like group of 5 people, and we have to solve this problem. And then everyone is watching us, and everyone is interacting with us, and they are looking how we are trying to solve this given problem. So that was super fun. We did that, and obviously, everyone had their portfolios ready by then because it is a hiring event, right? Like people are actually coming in to hire interns or full-time employees. So you have to be your best. You have to have your portfolio and stuff done. So yeah, I would have done well. Is what I would say. My team did really well, and I was called for a next day interview for like three different companies, and one of those was Salesforce. And I'm so glad that the first interview wasn't with Salesforce, because your first interview is always going to be tough, and you're just going to be overwhelmed by the questions. You won't be prepared, no matter how much you prepare. Uh, so my second interview was at Salesforce, and yeah, things went well. It was like insane amount of competition, because like there were 50 of us who were applying for internship for two open positions, and about 15 got shortlisted after the interview.
Yeah, then they have second stage.
And then I was called to the Salesforce office for on-site interviews, uh, which was like four back-to-back interviews with four different designers and engineers, and it was scary. And I was like, I don't know if I get it or not, because one of the interviewees, she was like, she was tough. Like, she was asking me very difficult questions, and I was like having a hard time trying to explain her like my view of design, but it all went well, and I had a plan for everything. So yeah, I was so glad when I got the internship. I was like one of the first few folks who got the internship, so it was a relief. Um, then so then the summer came, summer of 2015. I actually started my internship. And really, at that point, it was all about like applying the things that I had learned in school and otherwise. Uh, so yeah, I did something. Yeah, I don't get into the details, but I did something, and like everyone on the team really liked that thing, um, and it got broadcasted to everyone in Salesforce UX. And I got like applause from the senior vice president of UX, who's like the biggest person in UX and Salesforce. So that really set the tone for my internship. After that, it was like I was on a roll. I could just I chose, and Salesforce is a really cool place to work at. So they let me do what I wanted to do. They let me choose which projects I wanted to work on. I was also doing side projects. So that summer was super fun, and I knew that I would be getting a return offer. Um, I did get a return offer, but at the same time, I was like, I so the problem with uh, HCI in like when you're doing, yeah, okay, so this is how I would frame it. The professors in in schools, they will teach the quality of education is absolutely the best, hands down, but they are super focused towards or they're super pushy towards academic research. Academic research and academic design is very different than industry research and industry design. Uh, and I figured that out during my internship, because you get very different kind of deadlines. You get very different kind. You are presenting to different kind of stakeholders. You have to deliver things on time, and you don't have the luxury of doing a ton of research. So it was clear at that point that I don't want to lose this industry experience. And if there's any way in which I can continue that path while I'm still completing my master's, that would be the best. And really, because I had done so well in my internship, it became easy, because I just spoke to my manager and I told him, so here's the deal. I want to continue work in the industry, because it is important, and it's very different than than the kind of projects and kind of work I do at school. So can I like do a part time? Just extend my internship, and if you guys are comfortable, let's do it. And they did it. So it was pretty easy for them to just extend that internship. So I continue to be an intern for my second year of masters, which is super awesome because I was like working 20 hours a week, and then the rest of the time I was focused on my masters. And it really helped me like stay in touch with everyone in the industry, and
Yeah, just
have a good balance between things. uh, but what really helped was that return offer from Salesforce,
yeah,
because I did my internship there and because I performed really well. I immediately got a return offer at the end of my internship, which is so important. Like, this is the most important thing you can ever do. Don't screw up or don't take your internship lightly. I've seen it's not like, oh, anyone who gets internship at Salesforce will automatically get a full-time position. No, you still have to perform. If you don't perform, you won't get that full-time position. Uh, so the first thing is, obviously you need to look out for internships, apply for internships, get get an internship. I just had one shot, but at undergrad you would have like many opportunities to do your internship. But really, the third, assuming it's a four, is it a 4 year
no, it's 3 years,
course,
so it ends in
3 year
3 years.
course,
Yeah.
and you are in your first year right now,
No, third year. Hmm.
third year. Okay, so and do you have a chance to do internship or is it
No, no. We already did one. So
okay?
it was a 3 month course for that.
Okay, yeah. So okay, this is not relevant, but
No,
still
that's
it's
okay.
relevant because your internship is really your chance to get into a great company.
Yeah.
And once you are in a good company, things will follow. Like, you just build a brand or a reputation of yourself. Like, you have worked at so and so place, and that would just carry forward. Whenever I leave this company, go to another one, I wouldn't be like struggling for jobs as much. Hopefully, so yeah, yeah. Does that answer
Yeah.
your question? Sorry, that was super
No, no,
long.
no. So I have one question, but I don't
Yeah.
think you remember it. I wanted to know what kind of question do they ask in the interview? Like, do they question you? Do they usually give you a design task before every interview, or they just ask you in general?
Okay, yeah. So there are different kinds of interviews, but mostly there would be a design challenge. Uh, and it's sometimes when you're applying, uh, you just get selected to do a design challenge.
Okay, so not
In
every.
my case, the design challenge actually happened at the event,
Yeah.
so I have like a second design challenge. But sometimes there's two design challenges.
Okay.
Sometimes they will call you at the company and invite you to do a whiteboarding session with other designers.
Okay.
So anything is possible. There's no like fixed format. The kind of questions they would ask are anything from like, what's your design process? That's like the most basic one and also the most trickiest one, because you should know what you need to answer. And my answer were my answers were probably incorrect at the time of. I mean, when I look back now, it was probably lame, but because I delivered it with like all my energy and passion, and it it was probably fine. uh, because now that I think about my design process, like, I had this nice huge diagram to show, oh, this is how I think about design. But now that I'm actually in the industry, that all of that is probably not true.
Do you not do
You
those
need to like
processes?
work to realize certain things. But yeah, so expect like and I can give you a list of questions. I'm pretty sure. Actually, there was like one of the designers at Salesforce, and let me look it up.
Oh,
And those are like some of the best questions I have come across. So
okay.
I mean, they're just
Yeah.
like all the questions that you should have an answer for. But the other question would be usually a conversation piece would be, okay, tell me some of the designs or technologies you like and why do you like them. Some of the technologies or designs you hate and why do you hate them. And you need really good answers for those. It can't be like, I like Google. Why do you like Google? Because it's Google. No, that's not going to work. You need like a detailed response for why you like something and why you hate something. And it has to be really thought through. And obviously, if you say, oh, I like Google, there's nothing wrong in saying, I like Google. But talk about something which, I mean, if you ask a designer, um, yeah, this is where you need to show maturity, right? Like if a designer asks, tell me one technology you like, everyone likes Google. So obviously it's everyone's first choice. So so tell me something that I either don't know about or and if I don't know about it, let's say I didn't know Snapchat and you really like Snapchat, then be ready to even like show me how Snapchat works and what it is used for and why do you like it and so on. And use something which is surprising. Like won't like okay, think about this. If I ask this question to your classmates, maybe 50% of them would be inclined to say Google if that question was asked out of nowhere, right? Because that's the first thing that comes to your mind. So yeah, you need to be like strategic about your answers in that way. And let me find this for you. Oh god. So, so yeah, does that help?
Yeah.
And I'll give you a list of questions. I'm pretty sure. Yes. Oh, and there's like two of these.
Oh.
There's 10 questions you should ask in a UX interview, and there's 10 questions you will be asked in a
Oh,
UX interview.
I think that's the same.
So, does this have chat? Sorry, I haven't used this in a long time. That's one.
Oh, okay. So sweet.
And that's two. So, both of these are designers that, or one of them was a designer at Salesforce, he's not anymore.
Okay.
But the 10, I've read the 10 questions you'll be asked in a UX interview.
Okay.
And those are, if you go through that, number one, how do you define UX or design? Basic question. You need to have your own definition, which is your definition.
Okay.
And you can read over there, tell a story. Like, oh yeah, if you don't know about this, design is often about telling a story. So you need to, like I told you a story about how I got into UX. It was a long story, but it was a story, and I hope I kept you like interested throughout it. So you need to do that.
Okay.
Number two, what is your design process? I already covered this one. Number three, and it's okay, it can be incorrect, but you really need to be passionate and you really need to explain why you think this is your design process. Number three, some apps or websites that you love, and on the flip side, some apps or websites you hate. Uh, Number four, how do you work with engineers, product managers, other designers? And if you don't have industry experience, you just need to say how will you work in an imaginary scenario. So keep that in mind. Number five, oh yeah, this one came as well. Who in the industry do you follow and read? And holy crap, this is like because I don't really follow designers. I don't like that kind of stuff. I'm not like following bunch of design gurus or anything like that. There's no design guru, and there's no problem that good designers can't solve. So yeah, I just don't believe in it. But you never know. People will sometimes like ask you these questions.
So
So
what do you
be
say?
prepared.
Can we say that we don't follow anyone?
Be ready to say why. Like I gave you my explanation. You need to get any. So here's the thing. In design, no answer is wrong. You just need to tell me why, and you need to, if your explanation is good, if your rationale is good, then, and if you can sell me your answer, then I'm fine with it.
Okay.
Always keep that in mind. Nothing is wrong. Um, what is the most interesting project that you have worked on? Yeah, it should be something on your portfolio. So be ready to talk about projects on your portfolio. Do you prefer to work alone or with a team? It's like a twist question.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I won't give you any answers, but you need to think hard about this. Uh, Tell me about an assignment that was too difficult. How did you handle the situation?
Okay. This is
Yeah, and number 9 is what do you want? Why do you want to work at this company? Why do you want to work at Salesforce? I was asked this question, and you need to know about Salesforce
yeah.
before you're going into the interview. This is true for any interview that you go for. Let's say you're interviewing for Facebook, know about what Facebook wants to do, learn about their vision statement, know about what are the new things they're working on, know about where the company is headed to, know about their culture. As much research as possible about that company before you go into the interview, and be ready to talk about it. Be ready to ask questions about it. Uh, and number 10, why should I hire you? Oh, yeah.
What do you
That's
say to
easy
this?
enough. All.
But
Yep. I got this question as well. So,
what
yeah.
did you say?
What did I say? I don't remember actually. It's been so long. Yeah, my whole point was because I so fortunately I only gave 3 interviews. I mean, I only spoke to 3 companies, and that was during my internship. And after that, I never had to give an interview. Uh, at that time, my answer was more around like I was just being straight up. I said that I want to learn, and this is what I bring to the table. I have the skills, I don't have the industry experience, and I really like this company. And uh, why you should hire me is because I'll bring all my skill and I'll give my 100% to this. And then I'm rewording obviously because I don't remember what I said at that time, but it was something on this line. It was more around. It was more about driving the point that I want to learn, and I don't think I'm an expert, but I know you guys are the experts, and you guys can teach me. Yeah. Uh, yeah, those are some those 10 questions. I feel like they should cover everything you need for an interview. But you need like really good answers for those. So
Yeah, I'm gonna spend these months coming up with one. So, you submitted a portfolio before you got the interview, right?
yeah.
So, what kind of portfolio did you have at that time? Because, like, right now, mine just comprises of college projects, nothing apart from that.
Yeah, same. When I had the portfolio, uh, I just had like, okay, so this is weird, but let me tell you something. All of my classmates had at least 4 to 5 projects on their portfolios. Uh, and let me tell you a little bit about the timeline before I because that would make more sense. So we started school in August on 23rd August 2015. Yeah, 2015. Um, and the HCID Connect was on February, sometime in February. So I started school in August, and I had to create my portfolio by February.
Okay.
How many months was that? August, September, October, November, December, January. So probably like 6, 7 months. And in those 6, 7 months, we had just worked on 5 projects.
Okay.
And out of those 5 projects, some people had like 4, some people had 5, some people had like previous work. I wasn't really confident about showing my previous work because it was less about UX and it was
Yeah.
more about like graphic design or website design. Uh, and I wanted to do my portfolio right instead of having a ton of things in my portfolio. So what I started out with was I just had 2 projects in my portfolio, and this would seem very weird. I don't know what other people have told you, but this is my advice to anyone who asks me about portfolio. My suggestion is always have a project that you have really done a good job at and you really can talk about and spend a ton of time iterating on that project because you know as a student no project is ever complete,
Yeah.
no project is perfect. uh, Spend time iterating through it. uh, Spend time on your portfolio, answer all the basic questions like what was the problem, how much time did you spend, what is your solution, how does this solution solve the problems, uh, and yeah, and what did you learn out of this. These are like some basic elements that make up the portfolio. uh, why I say it's important to iterate is because here was the difference between my portfolio and uh, my other classmates. I just had 2 projects, but what I had done was I had iterated and I had created next version of designs. But because those are all team projects, what happens in team projects is, let's say 5 of us are working on this problem. We came up with design, and everyone's solution is the same because we are the same team. So now everyone would have the same designs on their portfolios. Yeah, they talk about it slightly differently, but the designs are the same. What I had done was I had iterated on those. I had removed the elements which were probably not that great or probably poor, and I knew they need to be fixed. And those iterations really came into play during my interview because I could talk about them. I could say why I chose to iterate on these elements. And I even got comments like after the interview, my team told me like one of the big reasons why they hired me was because I did things differently than my other classmates. You always have to do things differently. You have to think differently, and you need to sell yourself. It's all about selling. You need to sell yourself, and you need to have a unique selling point. If your portfolio is like everyone else, it's really difficult to distinguish yourself from everyone else. It's simple. Uh, at that point, during HCID Connect, at that point when everyone was applying for internships, my portfolio was at least the projects I had were way mature than my classmates because they were focusing on quantity. Because everyone was like, oh, we need to have 4 to 5 projects on our portfolio, but they really missed out on the point that, and that was so at that point that was my opportunity. You would have a different opportunity, right? You are competing with your classmates. You know your portfolio, you have seen their portfolio, you have seen industry portfolios which are so different. Like even a simple Google search will give you like 100 different UX portfolios. uh, but you really need to distinguish yourself, like, and how you're going to do that, you have to spend a ton of time thinking about it. It's not easy, but You have to do it. It's about selling yourself at the end of the day.
Mm, so do you work in a team or you work individually at Salesforce?
I do work on a team.
Okay. So you can
Yeah.
you get to pick projects. So
What? Sorry.
you get to pick your own projects on the team or like what they give you.
So in the industry, okay, the position I am in right now is very different. Uh, I'm saying different because it's like it's a new project. So it's like a startup inside of Salesforce, and we are working on something brand new, and it's yet to be launched. So I was told by my team that, hey, do you want to work on this project?
Okay.
And I started working on my current project in uh, in June last year, and I'm still working on it. And I don't think I have to switch my projects simply because what I'm working on is brand new and it would be like launched at one of our biggest events called Dreamforce this year. So I'm really excited about that because what I'm working on is super cutting edge. It's all new, and yeah, I didn't see a reason why I need to switch a project. But if I had to, I could. But again, that depends on the company and your team and where you're working at. Sometimes you have the freedom, a lot of times you don't.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
do they like expect you to do the front end or they usually give it to the software team?
this is a highly debated topic.
Yeah.
I would say uh, UX designers focus on UX. They are not expected to do front end. There might be people who just like doing front end and design, and they can do that. There are positions for them as well. But we have goals which are clearly different than uh, like any sort of development. But again, Salesforce is probably one of the best companies to work for in terms of UX, and you would find really few companies where opportunities like these exist. Uh, so, like big companies like Microsoft, Google, Salesforce, IBM, eBay, like any Fortune 50 company uh, would probably have UX designer positions. But a lot of startups, for that matter, or small companies, they might not have a, a specific UX designer position. What it comes down to is you and what you apply to, because you need to read the job description before you apply to any company. If you don't, if you're not, even if you have the skills, but if you're not interested in doing any sort of front end work, then it's simple. You shouldn't apply to that company because job job searching is both the ways. Like you should be fit for the company, but the company should also be fit for you. The position you are applying for should be fit for you, and you applying to that position should also fit you. So it's usually a mutual handshake that should happen. It should never be that the company is superior and you are going to do what is told of you or what is outside of your skill sets or your comfort zone. So always keep that in mind.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
This helps a lot.
So I have a few questions for you.
Yeah.
Uh, so what kind of jobs are you trying to take up?
So I want something purely UX design. Like you said, I have the skill sets for HTML, CSS, but I don't prefer doing it. I'm not very comfortable with it. So I
Yeah.
prefer just sticking to the research and the design part of it. So yeah,
Nice.
looking for something.
And what kind of companies you have access to in Singapore if you had to stay in Singapore?
None as of now. Like I'm still looking for some companies because, as I said, like getting into like just the starting stage is really difficult, right? So I'm still looking at like smaller companies for now, and then
Yeah.
probably after I get my masters done, I will look at a bigger company. So for now, just starting
Okay. Yeah, this is just out of curiosity. Like, what big companies hire UX designers in Singapore? Like, do you have any idea?
There is one company called Huge Pink. I think it's based in
Yeah,
Dubai.
really.
Yeah. So I met with the person yesterday itself. So he told me that they hire straight out of college.
That's cool. Like, one of my co-workers is from Huge.
Oh, okay. That's good.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Used to be interaction designer there, and now he's senior interaction designer at Salesforce.
Okay.
Pretty cool. Yeah. Uh, yeah, that's a yeah. Huge is like one of the best design agencies
Yeah.
out there. Um,
And they
yeah.
solely do UX. They don't have any even coders in the team. They just give that out.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So the other thing you should know about is that there is at least yeah, probably like two different kind of roles under UX.
Okay.
One is going to be, or maybe three. I don't know. I don't know how to draw that distinction. But as a UX designer, you could either be working with a lot of clients, which is one type.
Okay.
So that's the stuff that Huge does. They have clients. You might be working with one client for 1 month, then you have another client maybe for 2 weeks. So you are like
Switching.
helping the people, solving their problems.
Yeah.
And it's really cool. It's like because you are actually meeting different people and you're working with different guys and so on. That's one kind of UX position. The other kind of UX position is more of this product designer role, which is you have some app or some product that you or some website and you are a designer on that website. So maybe you do research, maybe you do both research and design, you do design for that particular product and you are wholly dedicated to it. It's still consumer facing, so you have like people using and consumers. Imagine you were a designer for uh, facebook.com. That's like a product designer but a UX position. uh, then there's third category in which I fall, and people usually don't like that category but I do. It's enterprise UX.
Okay.
And I don't know if you have heard about this, but it is designing very large scale enterprise applications.
Okay.
So these are specialty tools. So it's not a consumer application that I design. These tools are going to be used by developers. Developers are not like like
Yeah.
a user like you and me, right? Like they
Yeah.
are special personas.
Yeah.
So we create solutions that are geared towards specific personas like developers, architects. There's like just so many, um, and and we have to deal with data. We have to deal with problems at scale. So it's not like designing interactions for Snapchat that I do. What I design is probably way crazier than that. It's like how a developer is going to use my tool and it makes their job easy. Imagine like I'm a designer for GitHub. Maybe
Yeah.
you might know what GitHub is, but it's geared towards like a particular group of people, right?
Okay.
So yeah, that way. So you again when you apply, you need to understand like what kind of projects you're going to work on. Is it I will work with new clients every few weeks or months, huge kind of role. is it a product design position? Like I'm working on an app on a website, which is also cool. Like it's not,
Yeah.
and I'm not drawing comparison between. I'm not saying this is bad or this is bad. It's just like different streams of
Yeah.
work, and then there's like enterprise applications which are like super technical, and you need to have that technical acumen to really design for that kind of audience. And go on.
So at Salesforce, they have only those kind of UX designers or all kinds? Do they have clients as such? Because I'm not sure
So Salesforce does have a branch called Salesforce Experience, I think is what they're called. What they do is they work with our clients, but again, they are trying to see how our products can solve their problems. So they work with new clients every time, but it's using our our already designed products,
that.
but trying to get it towards solving the customer's problems. Uh, so yeah, with design, yeah, it can be anything.
Yeah.
Can be this is like a combination of like what Huge does and what I do. But yeah,
It's pretty cool. I actually
cool,
have my brother's gotten an internship at Salesforce.
nice. Yeah.
In the San Francisco one. So
Oh,
he's
nice.
gonna join I think in May. He's coming
Yeah,
as an engineer software.
software engineer. Okay, yeah. You ask him to get
Yeah,
in
I'll
touch with
definitely.
me. I would love to like meet
Yeah,
him and
definitely.
hang out.
Yeah,
Cool.
that's pretty.
If you have any questions, feel free to like
Yeah, I will definitely.
me. If you want, I know a lot of people like usually request help with reviewing their portfolios. If you
I
want
will
that,
definitely.
let me know.
Yeah,
Uh, what I usually do is I'll create a Google document and I'll like write down
okay.
everything
Yeah.
I see.
Okay, so
uh,
that'll be really helpful.
sorry, I couldn't hear you.
That'll be really helpful. I'll definitely do that. Like I'm still working on the portfolio, so it will take a few weeks more, but then
You
hopefully.
never stop working on the portfolio. That's
Yeah,
the
that's true, but for this term I have to end it somewhere. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So
Cool.
thank you so much.
Yeah, it's fun. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.